Hey, nice to see you there. How are you doing? We're going to be learning about something that's advanced level, but is definitely useful for everyone because it's advanced, but it's really common. You are definitely going to hear this used once or twice. The main form we're going to be learning about today is 법하다. But in order to learn this, we first have to go back. We have to go back to a different version of this form, 법이다. Now, I've taught this form before. If you want to learn about it in more detail, I did a live stream back in 2021, March 14th, 2021, but I'm going to do a really quick review today. So what is 법이다? Well, it's a combination of two things. First, the word 법, which comes from 한자. 법 means a law, like that's the law. But by meaning law, it also can mean like the way things are. Or in that way, a way, it can also mean a method. So 법 means like the way, and 이다 means to be. So literally, something 법이다 means to be, like it is, or that is, the way, or that is the law. Literally, it's to be a law or way that something is something. It's the law that something is this, or that is the way that something is like this. It means it's the way it is. Like that's how it is that it is a certain way. And this is going to be used together with a verb. So you can say it's the law or it's the way that something is like that. Yeah, that's just how things are. So this form is used to say that something is natural or a fact. It's only natural that, or it's the way that it is like that. You can think of it as meaning it's natural or it's a fact or it's certainly, but literally it means that's the law. Like, yeah, of course, that's the way things are. So you take a verb and you change it into an adjective and then you attach to that 법이다. You take a verb, you change it to an adjective and you attach 법이다. And that means that something is 이다, the way 법 that things are. So it's only natural that verb. So if this is an action verb, like let's say 하다, to do. 하다, how do you change 하다 into an adjective? Well, it can be 하는. 하는 법이다. That's it. So you're saying that it's natural that someone 하다 does something. It's only natural that they would do that. That's the way. It's the law that they would do that. It's not unexpected. Certainly they do that. Well, it's a fact that they would do that. That's what this means. Now, this adjective that you use is only going to be in the present tense. You're not going to be using past tense or future tense adjectives. Like if you have 하다, to do, it's just going to become 하는. It's not going to become future tense 할 or past tense 한 or anything like that. Because you're just saying the law is something is what you're saying. So it's only used with present tense. Just keep that in mind. So let me give you an example sentence. 사람은, so a person, 쉽게, from 쉽다, to be easy. In this case, 쉽게 is the adverb form, meaning easily. 변하다, to change. 변하지 않다, to not change. 않는, remember, it changes into an adjective in the present tense. 법, it is the way that people do not change easily. It is the law, literally, that people do not change easily. That's the way it is, that people do not change easily. Or it's a fact that people don't change easily. You can translate it any way you like, whatever feels natural to you. Or maybe, certainly people do not change easily. Because again, you are literally saying it is, it is the law that people or a person does not change easily. 사람은 쉽게 변하지 않는 법이에요. It's a fact that people don't change easily. 자신, oneself. 자신을 사랑하다, to love yourself. 사랑해야, only using 야 here though, means literally only if. So 해야, only if you, 사랑해야, only if you love yourself. 사랑할 수 있는 법입니다. It's a fact that you can, 사랑할 수 있다, you can love. 남도, 남 is other people, 도, also. So 남도 사랑할 수 있는 법입니다. So it's the law, literally, that you can love other people too, only if 사랑해야 자신을, you love yourself. So 자신을 사랑해야 남도 사랑할 수 있는 법입니다 means it's a fact that, or it's natural that, you have to love yourself in order to be able to love others. So you can only love others if you love yourself. or literally, only if you love yourself can you also love other people. 자신을 사랑해야 남도 사랑할 수 있는 법입니다. Now let's talk about our main star of this lesson. 법하다. It looks the same. 법 meaning law or way, but now we have 하다 at the end. So first, let's talk about how it's made. You take a verb and you change it into an adjective, but instead of being in the present tense, you're not saying this time, it is a law that something is. This time you're saying, it is a law that something will be, if it's a descriptive verb, or will do if it's an action verb. So you change any verb, descriptive verb or action verb, into an adjective in the future tense. That's going to end with this, either an or just a lir. So that'll be the future tense adjective form of any verb, and then you use 법하다 and conjugate this. So, for example, 하다 would become 할 법하다, or you can also use what's called the past tense future tense. What? It's actually really simple. You first take the past tense, like normal, and then you just attach this. There's no other exception. You just attach this for any verb. So now you have 했을. So what is this? If 할 is will do or would do, and 한 is did do, what's 했을? This is very simple. It's what you probably think. This one's would have. So with an action verb, it'll be would have done. And with a descriptive verb, it'll be would have been. So you'll see this form used with the future tense. It'll always end with this, and it'll be the regular future tense, or you could also use the past future tense like this. And then 법하다. Let's just pretend this is 이다 for a second. It's the law that something will be or something will do, okay? It's the law that something would have done or would have been, okay? That's kind of what we're going to be working with. So before we did 법이다, it is the law that. Now we've got 법하다. What is this 하다? Quick review, 이다 is to be, so something is the law. 하다 is not literally to be, but it actually is to be. First of all, it's not 하다 to do. This is a different 하다. This is 하다 that attaches directly to other words without a space, and you see this 하다 all the time in descriptive verbs. For example, if you know the verb 피곤하다, to be tired, 피곤하다 is not a verb. This is not to do 피곤. That doesn't make any sense. This is to be tired. You can't say 피곤을 안 해. You can't say that because it's not a verb. You're not doing the tired. 저는 피곤을 많이 해요. I do much the tired today. Like, it doesn't make any sense. This is 하다 from descriptive verbs, and it means to be. But then, Billy, what's the difference? There's a nuance difference. 하다 with descriptive verbs, the nuance difference isn't so much to be, it's to seem. So it's pretty much the same thing though. 하다 is like, it is. It seems that way. It seems it is the law that something would happen or would be. That is the form. I don't sound like Hugh from Jimmy Neutron. Jimmy! That is the form. Therefore, 법하다 is a descriptive verb. So it means that something likely will be if it's a descriptive verb, or likely will do if it's an action verb. But we can translate this more naturally. But more naturally, you can think of this as something oughta. It ought to be, as in not that they should, but I expect it will be. Again, future tense. Or likely will be, or likely will do. Or, yeah, they should do that. As in, I'm making an assumption. I'm not saying that it would be good if they did that. I'm saying, yeah, they should. Like, I'm assuming they should, or they would do that, or yeah, they must be doing that, like that. And then finally, this is another really natural way to think of it. Yeah, it makes sense that something would be like that, or someone would do that. I think of these four, this one will help the most. The last one here. It makes sense that. This is an example sentence before we add in our 법하다 form. 철수는, so our friend 철수, 한 동네. This is one word, literally means one 동네, one neighborhood, one area. But when it's written as one word, it means the same neighborhood. 에, so in the same neighborhood. 사니, from 살다, to live. So this is 사니까, because he lives in the same neighborhood as me. 쉽게, easily, from 쉽다, to be easy. 쉽게 보다, to see. 볼 수 있어요. So you can see him easily because he lives in the same neighborhood. So 있을 법해요. it seems that it would be the law that, it seems it would be the way that, literally, or it makes sense that you would be able to see 철수 easily because 한동네에 사니, because he lives in the same neighborhood, it makes sense that you'd be able to see him easily. 철수는 한동네에 사니 쉽게 볼 수 있을 법해요. That's how you use this form. 잘 모르면, so if you don't know it well, if you don't know much about it, 그렇게 생각하다, to think like that, to think that, 법해요. It seems to be the way that things are, that if you don't know about it well, you might think that, literally, which sounds messy, but it makes sense that if you don't really know it well, you could think that. So it makes sense, I guess, if you don't really know about it much, that you could think that. 잘 모르면 그렇게 생각할 법해요. Notice also it's 법해요, because the pronunciation of 법 ends with this letter, and anytime you have this letter after it or before it, it's actually just extra air. 법해, 법해, 법해. It always becomes 폐, 법해요, 법해요, 법해요 is what you get. 잘 모르면 그렇게 생각할 법해요. 한국 음식, Korean food. 만, only Korean food. 먹었으니까, 먹었으니. So because you only ate Korean food, 미국 음식, American food, 생각이 나다 means to come to mind, to think about something. Like you keep thinking about it. So it makes sense, 법해요. 생각날 법해요. It makes sense that you're going to think about American food because you've only been eating Korean food. 한국 음식만 먹었으니 미국 음식이 생각날 법해요. 다르게, differently, 다르다, to be different. So 다르게, differently, or in a different way. 이해하다, to understand. So to understand differently, to interpret it in a different way. 분 is just the honorific version of 사람. So 분도 있어요. There are also people who understand it differently. Okay, again, really easy to use this form. And you could also do 법합니다. I'm using just 법해요 for all of them, just to keep it simple. 다르게 이해하는 분도 있을 법해요. It makes sense that there would be people also who understand it differently. It makes sense that other people would understand this differently. 다르게 이해하는 분도 있을 법해요. So, would be, it makes sense that there would be also 또 people who understand this in a different way. This is our next form. The way it works is exactly like before. You take a verb, you change it into an adjective in the future tense. So that's always going to end in this, either a or a lir. And you could also use that past future tense I showed you as well. And then instead of 법하다, now it's 법도 하다. 도 is even, also, or to, right? So this means like it seems that there's also the way things are that this happens. We have these three forms, 법이다. It is the law that something is, right? Only used with the present tense adjective. That's how it is. It's natural that that would happen. But 법하다, it would be that way. You can kind of reinterpret this as meaning like a possibility. So like there is the possibility of something being that way, right? It kind of means like that. Like it makes sense that someone would do something. It's kind of the same as saying it's possible that someone could do something and I'd understand it. So 법도 하다 can also be kind of in that way. There is also the possibility of something and I would understand that. This means there is also the likelihood of something to happen or something to be. This one is less confident than 법하다. So let me give you a translation. Instead of saying like, oh, it ought to be, you might just say it likely might. Instead of saying it makes sense that, it would make sense that. So it's a little bit less confident, but the meaning is the exact same as 법하다. And I'm going to give you some examples of this as well. 눈이 오다, to snow. 눈이 올 법도 해요. It would make sense that it would snow. 한데, but notice that it's 한데 and not 하는데. That's because 하다 is a descriptive verb, so it would not conjugate 하는데. That would be an action verb. 비만, only rain, came. It only rained. So it would have made sense for it to snow, but it only rained. It just rained. It makes sense, or it would make sense that it will snow, but it's just raining. 한 번, one time. 한 번만, only once. 더 했으면, so if you only did it once more, or if I'd only tried once more. 성공하다, to succeed, to be successful. 성공, here we have the past future tense. 했을, would have succeeded. 법도 하다. It would make sense that I would have succeeded, or I think I likely would have succeeded if I tried once more. But 한데 아쉽네요. Oh, that's too bad. 아쉽다 is something that's too bad when you've like missed out on something. You missed your chance. 한 번만 더 했으면 성공했을 법도 한데 아쉽네요. If I did it just once more, it's likely I would have succeeded, but it's too bad. 지나가다. So 지나다 is to pass by, but in no specific direction. 지나가다 is to go by. You're passing by someone as you go somewhere. So 지나가면서, while passing by, 보다, to see. In this case, 봤을 법. Would have seen while passing by. 도 한데. So there's also the possibility that you would have seen them while passing by, or I would have seen them while passing by. But 기억이 나다 is to remember something. 기억이 안 나요. I can't remember it. The memory doesn't come to me. I can't remember it. 기억이 안 나요. 지나가면서 봤을 법도 한데 기억이 안 나요. I likely saw it or saw them while passing by, but I don't remember. It would make sense that I would have seen them or that while passing by, but I can't remember. And that is the lesson. Thank you everyone for coming, and I will see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.